Hi everyone, this is our channel, Meet the Real Story. Please like, share and subscribe.
Hi there, I'm Carl and I'm 19 years old. I live with my grandpa on his farm on the outskirts of the city. Grandpa is fond of nature and quietude, as these calm his soul and spirit. He loves cultivating flowers and is very skilled in this field. He reads numerous books on unusual species of flowers, including their planting and growing requirements. He can also extract perfume fragrances from flowers. At first, I didn't care about this hobby of his and viewed it as a waste of time. However, after talking with him many times at length and listening to his myriad descriptions of the beauty of nature and flowers, I became hooked on them myself. Now I am as passionate as he is about them, and I love to study and learn about exotic and rare flowers. One of Grandpa's friends happened to be a botanist. He could talk for hours about rare flowers, even imaginary ones depicted in science fiction movies. One evening after he had visited our home and left, we went into the kitchen to prepare dinner when suddenly there came a knock at our front door. I answered the door, but no one was there. Nothing save a small box with a card, which I dutifully carried to Grandpa. The card said simply, "A gift from a dear friend." So we opened the box to find some strange seeds that were unlike any that Grandpa had ever seen before. He read another part of the note. "This is a Yasni flower from the future. Get ready for a fantastical, unforgettable trip." We didn't really believe this silly message, but we decided, what the heck, let's plant them and see what happens. In just 3 days, the seeds had produced exotic-looking purple flowers. Grandpa plucked one to extract some perfume from it. It had a wonderfully fragrant smell. Suddenly, I felt enervated and listless. My vision blurred, I couldn't breathe, and I became dizzy and passed out. When I opened my eyes, I was in the middle of some unknown desert. There were unfamiliar-looking parked cars with people in unfamiliar-looking clothes. One of the strangers pointed at me in alarm and shouted, "Catch him!" I ran, but they surrounded me and caught me. They bound my hands and hung me from a horizontal tent frame. I heard a groan and looked to my left to see Grandpa, similarly bound and hanging from another tent frame. The strangers were speaking in a language I had never heard before. Their apparent leader came over to us and said, "See this desert? The entire world is like this. Because of you. You destroyed our world. Our future is dark and bleak now. Those Yasni flowers you planted ended up breeding out of control and destroyed the world. You need to pay for your foul deeds." Suddenly, I heard a gunshot. Someone had shot Grandpa in the chest. He was bleeding profusely and appeared to be unconscious or dead. I couldn't tell which. I screamed, and then the shooter came towards me with hatred blazing in his eyes. He stopped and placed his gun barrel to my forehead. I screamed, "No!" and closed my eyes tightly. After a pause and hearing no shot, I opened my eyes to find myself lying on the floor beside Grandpa, the plucked flower lying between us. I woke him up and told him about my dream and found that he had had the exact same dream. He called his botanist friend and described the seeds, the flower, and its fragrance to him. The botanist said the unknown flower sounded similar to one that grew high in the Swiss Alps. It was illegal to import because it was known to induce hallucinations and cause other unpredictable reactions in people. To this day, we have no idea who the dear friend was that sent us these unusual, hallucinogenic flowers. We figure it must have been someone's idea of a practical joke. Or were these Yasni flowers indeed sent to us from the future? Everyone has his own unique gifts. God gave us these gifts to help us and society. Some people use these gifts for good, while others use them for evil. My story deals with this latter group of people. My name is Bill, and I'm 19 years old. My story begins when my sister Bella and I were both only 13 years old. My family consisted of just her and me. You see, we grew up in an orphanage where none of the children had parents. We used to wonder where we came from and who our parents were, but we could never get any clear answers, so we stopped asking such questions. Our lives had been quite normal up to that point, and then one day, a surprise dropped into our laps. Our parents showed up to take us home. We were stunned. Huh? Where had they been all these years? Why did they suddenly reappear? When we meet them for the first time, they cried and hugged us and apologized profusely. They told us that they would tell us everything when they took us home. So home we went. They had a large house. Dad was wealthy, and Mom was very educated. When we asked why they had abandoned us for 13 years, they told us that they were too poor to raise us, but now they were much better off financially, and they were able to take care of us now. Bella and I had felt like we had won the lottery and gone to heaven. We even had servants. We ate food dishes that we hadn't heard of before. We visited beautiful places and lived like a royal family. We were enjoying our new lives immensely. They treated us so nicely. Too nicely, in fact. Bella and I talked privately about why our parents were being so nice to us. They never criticized our behavior or made any demands off of us. This seems strange because we had heard about other kids whose parents were always arguing with them and forcing them to behave in a certain way. Then one day, we had stayed up late and we overheard our parents talking. Mom said, "Now's the right time. They are in good health and can bring us a lot of money." Dad replied, "But I've grown fond of them." Mom said, "Your kind heart will land us in prison. We just need to take them to the arranged place so we can sell their hearts and kidneys to our affiliates." Whoa! After hearing this macabre conversation, we sneaked out of the house and ran all the way to the orphanage. We told our caregivers what we had overheard, and they relayed our story to the police. The police then visited our new home, but found it empty. So Bella and I are still orphans today, and if those two people were our real parents, we'd prefer to just remain orphans a little longer, thank you very much.
Some people are born to have great destinies, like being a famous scientist like Einstein or a famous actor or athlete. Other people are born to enjoy great things like love, riches, or glamour. And then there are the rest of us, those who struggle all their lives just to eke by. If we should by chance latch on to a great opportunity, it will likely be very difficult to hold on to it long enough for success. We can only take our best shot, or give up and not even try. My story is about a hero. Perhaps you have met, made fun of, or loved someone like him at one time or another in the past. My name is Sam, and I am 17 years old. I live with my parents and my twin brother, Randy. Dad was a carpenter, and Mom was a housewife, but Randy is the real hero of my story. You see, he was autistic. Unfortunately, society attaches a stigma to autistic children because they seem to live in their own little world, in a kind of private self-isolation, as if quarantined from life. Due to our family's poverty and lack of access to good medical care, we never even realized that Randy was autistic. We just thought he was introverted and naturally quiet and withdrawn. I was the exact opposite, extroverted and gregarious. For the most part, we left Randy to his own devices in facing his hard life in his early childhood. When Randy and I were young, we would play in the street, and I would be responsible for protecting him because there were also some children that considered him weird and, consequently, mocked him a lot. I thought of him as a little angel because he was so quiet, and he was such a dreamer. He loved music and would often close his eyes while listening to music. He would mimic a musician playing a musical instrument for an admiring audience. I would watch his face while he was listening to music. His facial expression would change from sad to euphoric. So I saved up some money and surprised him on his birthday by presenting him with an MP3 player. He was overjoyed. One day when I was outside, Mom asked Randy to buy her some necessities from the supermarket. So he wore some earbuds so he could listen to his MP3 hands-free on his way to the supermarket. Along the way, he came across some bullies who knew about his quirky personality condition, and they decided to bully him. The gang leader grabbed Randy's MP3, threw it on the ground, and crushed it under his foot, much to the amusement of his laughing gang members. Randy was devastated and ran home crying. When he got home, Mom asked him what was wrong, but he didn't answer. When I returned home, Mom told me about Randy, so I knocked on his door. When he opened it, I saw that he had a black eye. I asked him what had happened, and he told me. I promised to buy him another MP3. One day, I heard live music playing at school, so I entered a room to see where it was coming from. It was from Randy. He was playing a violin that someone had left in the room. He looked at me, but I gestured for him to continue playing, and he did. I was entranced by his wonderful, graceful melody. When he finished, I clapped enthusiastically for him and asked him where he learned to play music. He told me that this was his first time playing music. Wow! I decided to help him develop his fabulous talent, so I told our music teacher about Randy. When I returned home, I searched the internet to learn how to make him a violin. I watched many videos and was able to make a homemade violin in Dad's workshop. Our teacher decided to allow Randy to enter the school's music contest. When I gave Randy my violin as a gift, he cried and hugged me. When he started playing the violin at home, Mom was incredulous. She hugged him and cried tears of joy upon discovering that he had such talent. On the day of the music contest, several students were laughing at him as he was walking to the auditorium, but I encouraged him to ignore them and resolved to do his best. Once he started playing, the whole auditorium went quiet and still. After a while, I could see some students actually crying due to the slow, sad, seesaw strokes on his violin strings. When he finished, he received a thunderous standing ovation. He was clearly amazed at the audience's reaction, and he cried tears of happiness and pride. Afterwards, I hugged him, and he hugged me back. Randy still has a long road to hoe in life, but Mom, Dad, and I will be there to support him on his way to the top.